I spent most of this last week sick and actually laying on the couch right over there, which sucked, by the way. But I had actually one of the most productive weeks that I've had in a long time, or kind of. If you're new here to the channel, my name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm the CEO of ActionCOACH Benefic Group, which has been ActionCOACH Central Texas and now ActionCOACH South Miami, all bundled together. And I'm on this crazy mission to retire my parents from our family business here by the end of 2026, the end of this year, which is an insanely crazy goal. So if you've been following me on this journey, you know that this is a pretty tall order. I had no idea how I was going to accomplish it. In my last video, I shared a little bit about what's happening and how I'm making this possible. And one of those is creating the platform within ActionCOACH, not being a coach, not building a coaching company, but building this platform within the ActionCOACH franchise to exponentially grow impact. So not just for me, not just for my family, not just for you, but for hundreds of other business owners out there. So beginning of this month, beginning of April, we accomplished the first step, the first real step in that goal, which was acquiring another firm. So we have now expanded to South Miami. And this is where things get fun and boring all at the same time. So what I'd like to share with you is a little bit of what to expect when you actually pull off an acquisition, and share with you a little bit about what it feels like to be sick, run down, off your game, especially coming off of a pretty high high and still needing to find a way to get things done. So the first thing is the thing that nobody really talks about when it comes to acquisitions. Or if they do, it's not talked about nearly enough because it can seem really exciting to bring on a new acquisition, to grow your business by acquiring others, doing a roll-up, anything like that. The thing that they don't usually talk about is all of the things that happen after the paperwork's signed. So yes, we can get into all of the details of what it was like to get the deal done. We can get through what due diligence looked like and felt like and all of that fun stuff. Yes, there is a whole video that is coming on that particular topic. But today, because it is top of mind, because it's everything I've been doing for the last week, I want to share with you a little bit about what the tedious, mundane backside of an acquisition actually looks like and feels like. So first and foremost, it can come with a lot of, dip in your energy. If you've been building towards, there is this level of stress that can happen, especially if it's the first or second time that you've gone through something like this. And anytime you get to something like that, there often is a level of crash. Your immune system just kind of breaks down a bit, and it puts you into susceptibility for potential illness and all of those sorts of things. And yay me, I experienced just that. But in this time, in the couple weeks or the week and a half post acquisition, the things that nobody really talks about are the things like getting a bank account set up. Assuming you've got the paperwork completed and all the things done for the actual entity that's doing the acquisition, now we need to take the step further and determine how are we going to collect payments. Where's that money going to go? We got to get a bank account set up, which is not traditionally a done in 5 seconds type of a deal. The next step is getting payment processing and getting all of the approvals there. You have to have the documentation, the paperwork. There's the integration of the website and the content. Do you keep it separate? Do you choose to pull it all together into one singular brand? What's the purpose behind doing that? Is there a really strong reason to keep the existing brand because there's so much credibility and things like that come along with it? Decisions that have to be made. But one of the first things that we did, and it's one of the first things I'm going to encourage anyone that chooses to go through an acquisition, especially if it's rolling things together, is like day one, or at very least day two, get your marketing running as fast as possible. So this was the first couple days. Got access to the database, got access to the new CRM, So, went through, sorted through the contacts and the prospects that were in there so that we could start crafting what is the first mover, the first thing that we can do to start gaining traction, to reintroduce this business back to the marketplace that they had been building. And that is exactly what I did. I sat down, I think it was the Thursday after the acquisition, and started to look through the list, start to segment it out, identify what is the core offer that makes sense for this particular market at this time. Something that's going to get them engaged, get them excited, bring this business to them in a way that is valuable to them. So crafting that offer and then coming back and determining what is the message that needs to deliver this offer. What are the 3, 4, 5 emails sent in a sequence, on what cadence? Like, all of those things had to be determined so that we could then push this out to the database and determine what was going to be the test batch. And once that test batch is complete, we have some data. At what level are we going to distribute this to the list? If I've got 3,000 names on a list, I don't want to spam every single one of them on day one. I want to warm up that email sequence. I want to show that there's responses. I want to show that there's clicks and opens and replies and all of the things that are coming along with it in batches over time, versus just saying, here's everybody all at once and hope for the best. So, that could look like sending out 500 emails a day for 5 days to get to where you need to go, or 6 days, or whatever the number is for your list size. But we've got to get that running like immediately. In this particular case, it's a focus of marketing. It's a focus of getting the basics of the business set up. And then thirdly, it's really important to start looking at who is currently on the team and how do we begin that integration. We want them to feel as if they're a part of our collective team as fast as humanly possible, assuming we're doing this as something like we are, where everything is integrating together. Now, if you're buying a business completely separate, it's brand new, it's the only thing you're focused on, there's some slight changes or nuances here. But in this particular case, it's spending the time, not necessarily changing everything from day one. This was a lesson that I learned from Brad Sugars as he teaches this concept of buy, build, and sell. And one of the things that he said is that first 3-4 weeks, don't go and change everything. We can start implementing some things that were dormant and just need to be picked back up, or we need to accelerate a few things, fine. Major structural changes, major team changes, take a step back and actually integrate into what has been. If you're buying a business properly, there are things that are good that are already happening. Don't step on their toes on day one and come in like a wrecking ball and say, we're changing everything from day one. Like, that's not the way to do it. How does human behavior come into this? If I come in and I tell you, hey, thanks for doing all this work for 20 years. It's great, but we're doing it my way and everything's going to change. Like, how are you going to feel about that? My guess is probably not that great. So take a step back, integrate the things that are currently working. Don't assume that you know everything. Come in knowing what you do know, focus on what they know, integrate things together and make everyone feel as part of a team. Bring it to that collective group. So this is ultimately what we've been focused on. It's the non-sexy, non-exciting things. And there's a whole laundry list of things that still have to get done. You think little things like business insurance, transferring over the domains into our ownership, and understanding where all the emails are. Do we need to set up new email accounts? Like, all these little things that just aren't the crazy thing that moves the immediate needle on where the business is headed and things like that, would still have to get done in order for you to be able to take on new clients and do different things. Like, I can't take on new clients if I don't have a way to process their money. So we've got to take care of these things like bank account, payment processing, things like that first. So that has been a big focus of where we've been for the last week. But here's the thing that I really wanted to share with y'all today, because I think this goes to where business overall is headed in the next 1 to 5 years. You can make the argument it's probably already here today. So I mentioned getting sick. And there's a whole aspect of this when it comes to doing the acquisition or like big crazy things within the business. But the key, so 2 things. The first one, if you're anything like me and you're not feeling good, you're off your game, you're like legitimately sick, fever, chills, aches, like everything. And you know that your body will do better if you actually give it some rest, right? If you're like me, taking that rest is really hard. I'm really bad at this today. I feel really guilty if I take that time off, knowing that the team is doing the things that they need to do and they would much rather me be healthy and fully focused and brain clear and all of that stuff than rather try to struggle through it. But I think it's perhaps maybe the way that I was raised, meaning just the generation of kind of what work ethic and all that kind of stuff looked like. I find it really, really difficult to just take a sick day, even if it's a Friday where things are already pretty low key compared to what they usually are. Taking a day and just saying, you know what, I need to rest. I'm going to lay on the couch. I'm going to go back to bed. I'm going to do the things that I need to do there to get myself back right, which is the right call, by the way. I find it really difficult to do. That whole feeling can be a lot easier if you have people and things that you trust to do the work that's required during your downtime. So think anytime that you're going on a vacation or anytime that you are feeling a bit off or there's a big thing coming up in your own life, there's going to be moments where you don't want the business dependent upon whether you show up or not. And this was a really good example. Unfortunately, it was just a forced example. So first and foremost, huge shout out to my team because y'all continue to do everything that you need to do to continue to run the business. So thank you. I am greatly appreciative. But what's more important today is to really talk about this extra cool thing called AI. And I've talked about AI a few different times in this business journey about the things that we're building for the growth within our business and how I think that that's a big component of me being able to achieve this crazy goal of retiring my parents from our business by the end of the year. It's going to be a combination of people, it's going to be a combination of systems, and all of that underpinned by this crazy new technology called artificial intelligence. So Friday, I'm sitting down, taking that needed rest and sick day, and I tested something new, and it was pretty exciting. So what that looked like is I took my good buddy Claude and I used it to build some pretty powerful things for me. So in this mindset of marketing and continuing to grow marketing, Fridays, generally speaking, tend to be a little bit more focused on marketing strategy, building some things that are going to help us within marketing, launching new campaigns, things of that nature. So Friday last week, I chose to use Claude Cowork, Claude browser extension, and then just general Claude chat to start working through a couple different things within marketing in the business. And I had this idea. I'm like, I really want to create a couple different lead magnets or tools that anyone can use. And I'll link both of them in the description below if you want to try any of these out. So I had this idea and they were pretty cool. It's not just a PDF or an ebook or anything else like that, but interactive tools that somebody can actually use to go get a solution or some clarity on something within their business. So the first one that I had was a profit reverse engineering tool. So if you've ever been following any of my content, one of the things I love talking about is reverse engineering your numbers. So think about it this way. If you want to generate an extra $5,000 in profit this next month, what are the things that actually have to happen in order to achieve that? And if you take it all the way back to its natural extreme, you're going to get to the point of like, what is the behavior? What is the activity that has to happen in order for me to achieve that particular goal? So this tool takes you exactly through that process in a chat-based format. So this interface pops up, it asks you a question, you answer it, and just walks you through everything, gives you some guidance if you don't know the direct answers to them. So you say, I want $5,000 in profit. I'll say, that's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about your industry. What industry are you in? It gives you a couple options you can choose from, or you can type it right in. It's going to ask you about current clients. It's going to ask you about, is your client base currently on a recurring nature? Is it subscription membership, something like that? Or is this all one-time sales? And it just starts to walk you back through the fact of like, if you need profit, you're going to need a certain amount of revenue. If you need a certain amount of revenue, you need a certain number of sales. If you need a certain number of sales, you need a certain number of sales meetings. And it just walks you all the way back to the point of just saying, this is how many conversations with people you need to have this week and every week in order to be on pace to achieve your goals based on the things that you've told me here today. Like something that you can go take action on right now. Pretty dang cool. So this was number one. I needed to build that thing out. The second one is an owner dependency scorecard. So it's very similar in terms of it's a chat-based tool to sit down and just answer roughly 10 questions over 60, 90 seconds. And it's going to populate a score out of 100 that says, you have a low score, high score, low score, meaning like you are super dependent within the business, meaning the business falls apart if you walk away. And a high score is essentially going to mean, hey, dude, business runs pretty much without you, which is pretty cool. And it's going to give you like grading criteria of different areas within the business and kind of a report on here's some things that you can start working on to improve the score. Thought these were both really cool tools to build out. And I wanted them directly within the website. I wanted to build kind of some follow-up emails on the back end, depending on what your scores were, different things of that nature. So a lot of context to sit down and go, well, how do I build it? So I expressed some of these ideas and I gave Claude Code the mandate essentially to go build these things within our website. So it's working over here on one screen. And yes, I got to come back in periodically throughout the day. Maybe each time I get up to just move at all, I would come back to the computer and I'd see where things were at. And then I would just, give it the next little nudge to keep working. But it's doing all of this work for me. And then on the other screen, it's I have the Claude browser extension for Chrome set up where it's connected, opened right into my Go High Level account, my CRM. And in this one, I have very explicit instructions walking through everything that should happen when somebody submits their information. So if somebody fills in the scorecard, if you fill in the scorecard, what are all the things that are going to happen? What's the email that you get that has the report in it? What's the, depending on what your score is, what's the emails that you're going to get the next day that's relevant to the score that you got that's going to help you continue to progress forward, and so on and so forth. And these take time to build. So I have this screen over here set up with these particular items and starting to build that out. And I've already created a Claude chat where I'm brainstorming and thinking through what are the things that we can be doing. How do we build these things? What should those emails look like? Let's start to build that out. So I have these two screens going. And each time I walked back into my home office here, it was really fun to see what the progress was. So I see this part of the process being built all on its own. I see this part over here being built out. And by the end of the day, both were done. Full project, completely built. I didn't build it. I had an idea. I told the tools what I needed, and it built the darn things for me. Talk about power. It's like having actual team members do the work exactly with what's in my head, so that I can continue to provide value in moments when I can't show up at the level that I'd like to. So let's bring this home. Why this matters, why this is so cool is because a couple things that I talk about a ton here on this channel, within a lot of my content, within this whole vision to create a platform and create a process to be able to retire my parents from our business by the end of this year, is systems over heroes. It's creating the systems, creating the workflows, creating the things that remove your dependency from the business as the owner. As I said earlier in this video, a lot of that has to do with systems, a lot of that has to do with team, but a lot of it's underpinned with AI today. And being able to connect these things together builds a superpower that gets more things done today, provides more value to those out there today than ever has been able to be done before in the past. So if you haven't had the opportunity to go in and start testing these things, start playing around, not just with your chat interfaces, but start playing around with the agentic type tools within AI. So this is allowing a tool like Claude to actually take over the browser and do work for you. If you haven't been playing around with that, you are now officially behind the curve. And I implore you to please go play around with it. You don't have to become a master. You don't have to know everything. If you don't take the time to do it, you will get beat by a business who is. So if you got your one action item from the video this week, that would be it. Go play around with the AI tools, see what type of work you can give it, see what type of output you can get from it, and refine it from there. Just go play. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be progression. If you liked either of the two tools that I built last week and want to test them out for yourself, they're completely free and they're in the video description below. So grab them, check them out. Might change your life. For me, I'm going to go back to getting back to work, starting to feel a lot better, hence why I'm sitting down and recording this video. And I'm excited to continue on this path in this crazy journey to retire my parents before the end of the year and build a platform that actually truly matters and provides value to more than just the people here in my inner circle. So if you're with me, thank you once again. And as always, let's go build some amazing businesses together.